Well, that was pretty decent.
Pretty good shot there, Pierce. I think I'd probably 20 yards past you on that one.
Well, maybe we could get a little bit more out of you. Hi, everyone. Today we're talking about driving. First of all, we're going to talk about how to hit the golf ball straighter, as well as hitting it past your playing partners, which is really important, isn't it, Andy?
It is, yes, definitely. And also, I think the importance of what this club is supposed to do. Distance really has never been more prominent in the game. So if we can hit this as far as possible, then if we can get it further down the golf course, then we're certainly going to save some shots.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's important, though, Andy, to start with some of the problems that we see. So what stops people hitting fairways, first of all, but also not optimising their drives?
OK, well, let's start with the setup. So from the guys that come to see us for lessons, Pierce, we see similarities, don't we? And I think most of the guys at home will know with the driver we would like to hit a little bit more on the way up to give us more distance. But to help us achieve this, we obviously want that ball position forward. But what we often see happen when we do this is as the ball creeps forward, so does the upper body. We get the upper body moving with it because it feels comfortable to our eyes.
It almost looks like that's what it should look like when you're standing to the golf ball, doesn't it?
Exactly. So we see the upper body creep this way, the head moves over the golf ball, but look at this now. My shoulders are almost tilted towards the target. I've got a lot of pressure in my lead leg, and from here, this is really going to encourage a more downward strike on the golf ball, which we know we don't really want if we want to be optimum. But also, take a look at the alignment, Pierce, when I do this. My forearms and my shoulders want to point left, and we know when they do this, the club will want to swing left, and we know that brings in that horrible slice that, again, robs us of distance.
I think what we need to do then, let's get some solutions to this then. How can we set up to hit it straighter and to optimise those drives?
OK, well, let's just not guess the ball position. Let's make sure when we practice, we know exactly where it's going to be. So I'm going to drop my alignment stick down there here so I know exactly where it is. And let's really take a look at the alignment and the tilts that we create. So if I take my setup here, I'm just going to take it in my lead hand with that ball position forward. You can see from here I'm nice and neutral with my alignment, but also my tilts. My trail hand's going to go on my right leg like here. And all I'm going to do from here, Pierce, is simply tilt the right hand, slide it down a couple of inches to create this tilt in the spine.
Love that.
You can see the spine's tilted away here. The shoulders are still square to my target line, parallel to the feet line. And from here, I can go ahead now and put the trail hand on. What we don't want to do is get the right hand coming over like this, opening the shoulders and losing those good angles.
OK, let's see what you got.
OK. The first one wasn't too bad. I reckon I can get a little bit more out of this one.
We'll get our launch monitor ready to tell you exactly what you did. OK, good. Definitely a high ball flight as well on that one. So we're looking at that there. So your attack angle, this is important to tell you this, is 1 degree up. So you were hitting up on the golf ball, which is good, but maybe we can get a bit more out of your optimum. And 285 carry, that's quite long, actually. That's pretty decent.
Not bad. You're warming up, though, Pierce. Definitely more left in there, yeah.
So when we're talking about the best drivers in the world, we'll often see that they are quite different in styles, but when they strike the golf ball, they're often very similar, aren't there? There's a lot of similarities. So what are we looking for when we're striking the ball?
So what we see the best players in the world do, I'm going to take my setup here and then go to impact. We see that the best players shift their weight into their lead leg. Their lower body is still moving towards the target, but we see that the hips are leading the shoulders. So you can see from here, my lower body is leading the shoulders. I'm still rotating the pelvis here and a little bit of the torso, but this is most important here. This is really how they use their body and also the ground to actually create that upward attack angle, which we know is so important.
You look like a taller version of Rory McIlroy there.
Yes, well, I'm not far behind him.
Maybe not quite as long as him, though. OK, so, I mean, that's obviously really important that we understand how to get into that. But then when we talk about the golf swing, we want to be able to, obviously, you've got yourself optimum setup. We know what we want when we hit the golf ball. But what are we talking about in our backswing to help us to do this?
The lead shoulder is important for this. So if I take my setup here, the lead shoulder, think about this, the lead shoulder will influence the low point. So the more my lead shoulder moves back in the backswing, travels back behind the golf ball, the more the low point now will be before the golf ball. This helps me then hit on the way up. And you think of Greg Norman and Tiger, who would really move that lead shoulder back. It would travel a lot in the backswing. Some of the guys, the golfers that we coach, Pierce, they will come to us. They'll be first left-sided, they will swing, and that left shoulder really hasn't moved very far. And we know then from there that low point is going to be way after the golf ball. And from there, that's really what we're not looking for with the driver.
And just quickly on that there as well, just want to make sure that people don't get this wrong, because sometimes when we talk about the left shoulder having a wider journey on the way back, sometimes the low body moves off the ball, doesn't it? Just explain that for us.
Okay, yeah, so the left shoulder moves back, but obviously we don't want this sway, the lower body moving away from the target. We don't really want that. We want a good, stable lower body that rotates, but the upper body sort of moves and winds up over the lower body. That really, we hear loading the right leg a lot in golf, Pierce. That really helps us load the right leg. And then from here, we are ready then to use the lower body and hopefully achieve this impact that we want.
Yeah, because I really like that, because as you say, obviously this setup is priming you, but now you still have to finish it off and obviously do that. Okay, so let's get our launch monitor ready again. So
Okay.
obviously you're going to prime the setup.
Yep.
And you have this feeling of the left shoulder.
Exactly.
In the back.
So I'm going tilts, really getting that setup primed. Now I'm feeling that lead shoulder travel back behind the golf ball from here. I really feel behind it there, Pierce. And there's only one way it's going from that. That's up in the air. Okay, let's see if I can get a few more yards for you, Pierce.
Yeah, you still don't forget. I still think you're 20 behind me, not 20 ahead of me. That's very nice. And straight as well. And we talk about this, I'll come to that in a moment, but that's really good. Okay, so attack angle 3 degrees up, 5 yards further, 290, just under 290. So 5 yards further, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I think it's really, it's really important we often talk about this, that when people optimize, they often get straighter as well, don't they?
I do, yes. So what optimizes people definitely helps them become more accurate as well. So if you can combine the two, then it's a win-win.
Okay, sounds like you need to give that a go. Well, Andy, I see you've got the driver in hand. We're at the Ladies Golf Club of Toronto in Canada. Let's give the viewers 2 great tips on getting more distance by getting a bigger turn and also getting rid of that slice.
Yes, let's do it.
We're talking about, we know that if we get a big turn in the backswing, then it can really help with distance. So people sometimes get this wrong though, don't they?
Yeah,
or focus on the wrong thing.
They do, yes. And if you think about what we are looking to turn in the golf swing, we are looking to turn the hips and the torso. But what do most people focus on, Pierce? They focus on turning the shoulders, and this can cause some issues. What we see people who focus on the shoulders is that as they swing back, yes, the shoulders are moving, Pierce, but they're limiting the amount that they can move here. I've not really got much hip turn here. The lower body is fairly quiet. And from there, I'm not going to really hit it as far as I can.
So all the focus is in the shoulders and not in the hips.
Exactly. Instead of thinking about the shoulders, we're going to think about the midsection of the body, from the belt buckle to the mid part of the chest. If we can think about turning this area, it's going to help create a bigger turn. It's not just the shoulders. So take a look at what I do here. As I focus on turning the hips and the mid part of that body, take a look at the difference now as I move back, Pierce. The body now has a massive turn compared to just thinking of the shoulders. That puts me more behind the golf ball, which we know is important for hitting up on the golf ball, and really helps me achieve a faster swing speed because I'm creating this bigger arc and bigger turn as well. Okay, so that's my focus on this shot then, Pierce, just creating that movement from belt to middle of the body.
Very nice. That looks pretty decent.
It's a nice little draw.
Nice little draw, which can often happen as well as a result. So if someone's struggling to get that hip rotation when they're just thinking of just doing that, how can they create more turn?
Well, I think the key thing to understand is we're all different. We all move differently. So really, we want to give you as many options as you can to figure out what works for you. So if you're struggling to create a little bit of a turn, we're just going to focus on the lead knee. So if I swing back now, I'm still got this thought in mind here, but as I swing back, I'm really going to allow my lead knee to actually move in behind the golf ball. And as I do this, it really helps me turn the hips and turn the torso. If I really keep these legs too still, Pierce, it's very difficult to turn the hips and get any of that wind up that we need as well.
Let's see you hit one now with getting that lead knee in. I like this.
So it's just literally that lead knee there.
Moving in behind the ball.
Yep.
Very good.
You've been better that one, but I'm getting better, Pierce.
You're getting better. Well, that was a draw, but let's just say someone's slicing it. Come on, let's fix the slice.
Okay, fixing the slice. Let's talk about improving the path to face, Pierce. That's the important thing. Now, if we slice the golf ball, then we know that the face is open to the path. So if we can actually give the guys at home a drill that focuses on what they do past impact, it really shapes what you do before. So let's look at what somebody would do if they slice it. A common thing that we see, as the club swings down, it swings a little bit too much to the left. But what we see is the face doesn't really rotate that much. So you can see here the club is swinging left, the toe of the golf club isn't really
elbows could be splaying as well.
We see this definitely a common thing there, Pierce. So if we can improve the face past the golf ball, it's certainly going to change the flight.
Okay.
And think about the best drivers in the world. We see them do this. Past impact, we will see the toe of the club accelerating past the heel quite aggressively here, Pierce. So let's take a look at the drill. Alignment stick. These are so easy and so practical. All I'm going to do is put it on the ground here, Pierce. Take my setup to the the front of the alignment stick.
So that's your target line.
Target line there. Now my drill, this is all I'm going to do. I'm going to make a little backswing, and on the way through, I'm going to really feel as if the toe of the club passes the heel so much that by the time I can see the leading edge, it is covering the end of the alignment stick.
Love that.
But it's parallel to the alignment stick as well. I don't want it here. I want it parallel to that alignment stick. That ball is not going to go to the right if I do that.
Very much exaggerating that release and also getting the path a little bit more out to the right as a result.
Exactly, not this way. It is definitely feeling more right, but that club face is working a lot harder. And this is definitely an exaggeration drill, but you put this into the feeling in the golf swing, it certainly changes a lot of things.
All right, let's see you hit it then. I love this.
So this is not going to go to the right, Pierce.
This is probably going to go a little bit further left than you've hit the last couple.
Okay, so just going to get that same feeling now on the way through. I expect this one a bit more shape. And it's no surprise there.
Very much going to the left. All right, absolutely fantastic. Two fantastic drills there to help you get the ball further down the fairway and stop it slicing to the right. Pretty decent there, Mr. Proudman. Pretty decent. All right, so we've got a launch angle of 11.2, a spin rate of 2239, with a carry of 297 yards. So these numbers are really important when it comes to optimizing the drive, and that's what we're talking about now, how to improve your golf IQ. So Andy, we're talking about optimizing drives. Two of the main factors that we talk about, important factors, are the launch angle and the spin rate. What are they?
Well, the launch and spin. And the great thing now about technology is we can measure things, can't we? These launch monitors help us really measure what's going on. And launch angle is basically the angle that the ball leaves the club face at impact, a key component in really helping us get the most distance out of it. Spin rate is simply the amount the ball is spinning as it leaves the club face as well. Two key components, if we get right, can really help us maximize those drives.
Yeah, absolutely. So the thing, we hear about this optimizing all the time, don't we? Now, for the viewers watching, should the launch and spin be the same for everybody, or should it be different depending on the person?
Definitely not. We want really the launch and spin to really suit that person. And generally, the lower the speed, the higher the launch and the higher the spin generally we need. And the higher the speed, the lower the launch and the lower the spin. So really, it's a matter of getting a fitting to find out really what launch angle and spin rate's going to suit you as the individual.
Massively, massively important that you do this. Okay, so look, let's look at two of the main influences that we have on launch and spin. What are they?
Well, let's take a look at loft. The most important thing, first of all, is what loft have you got on your driver and what loft are you presenting when you get back to the golf ball? This will largely influence how the ball launches, but how it spins as well. Really important that you get that right with a fitting if you go and get one. The next thing is the strike location. Where are you striking the golf ball from vertically on the face? Now, we've mentioned loft, Pierce, but on a driver, we have this curvature to the face, which means that if you hit it below center, it's going to produce different launch angles to hit at the center. It's going to produce a lower launch with a higher spin. Not great for distance, pretty safe to hit the fairway, but not great for distance. If you hit it off the top of the face, it's going to launch it higher, spin it a little less. Good height, not bad for distance, but we're certainly losing ball speed as well, another key component, if we're hitting it not off the center. So it really is important to not only get the right loft, but also understand how the strike location really will influence that launch and spin.
Let's have a go with a shot where we hit it a little bit maybe lower on the face. Let's see what we actually see. Let's see if what you were saying there actually is true, first of all. So let's see how it affects the distance, obviously, more importantly.
Exactly. So all I'm doing on this one is just teeing it down lower. That's what's really going to help me hit it low off the face. So normal golf swing here, I'm just going to hopefully just get it towards the bottom of the face.
Okay. Now, the good thing is with this, Andy, sometimes we don't need a launch monitor to tell us what the golf ball is doing.
Exactly.
That started low, and then it started to rise. Now, you know, 20 years ago, that was actually the preferred ball flight, but now we know with this modern day technology, that's not going to be as far as it's. But the one thing I will say, you know, you've hit the fairway.
It's in play. It's in play.
There's something in, you know, there's something in this. If you're a golfer, when you hit the fairway, maybe you can look at hitting a little bit lower and doing that. But if you are hitting it consistently at the bottom, and you do want to have more fun on the golf course and optimize, what should you do?
Well, I mean, it's so simple, isn't it, really? And I think this is something we see as coaches, is that people aren't necessarily really taking enough care in how high they're teeing the golf ball. If you're hitting it low off the face, it's telling you a little bit about your golf swing, but also let's experiment with teeing the golf ball a little higher. Let's see if we can get it higher off the face. So simply for somebody who's doing that, Pierce, tee the golf ball higher, and all my intention is on this one, I'm going to swing and I'm going to see if I can knock the tee out of the ground. Okay. If I can knock the tee out of the ground, it's going to give me a higher, hopefully, strike on the face and totally change the ball flight. It'll launch higher, go a little further with a lower spin as well.
Okay. Very good. Now just do me a favour, we're not actually going to hit this one, but if somebody is hitting the golf ball high in the face and almost hitting the ground as well, what are the two things maybe in the tee height and what we do with the club that we can do at setup on that?
We can just hover the golf club, and we like this one, sort of giving it a little tap before you're ready. You know, you can get yourself set, and you can just simply just raise the club off the ground a little bit here and really focus on having this little bit of a smoother backswing, but having that little bit of elevation at the start can really help just lower the flight.
And then maybe tee it down a little bit.
Tee it down a little bit lower as well.
Yeah. Go on, you may as well. I want to see you with the hover. I want to see you with the hover.
Okay, now I don't hover normally, so I would expect this to be a little more off the bottom of the face, which is fine if you're somebody who hits it off the top of the face.
It's all about understanding what you need and giving yourself what you need.
Okay, so we'll get it set, we'll hover it, and then go. Maybe I should start hovering, Pierce. That's pretty good.
Maybe you should, maybe you should. Just shows how important those numbers are. So make sure you're not losing 20 yards on your playing partners, and make sure you speak to Head Pro or your local fitter to figure out how you can have a fitting just like this. Now, Andy, I know you love a bit of hairspray, but seriously, bringing it on set when we're filming?
You never know when you need it, Pierce.
OK, so what we're going to do now is give you 3 fantastic drills with your driver that you can do on the driving range or even take onto the golf course. So seriously, what is the hairspray for?
Well, it is strike spray, Pierce, not hairspray.
Okay.
And you can get this actually from your local drugstore. It is foot spray. And really all we're going to do here is see what's going on the club face, where we are striking it. And we always say you can't improve what you don't measure. So we are measuring strike today. So we recommend that you get some of this, and all you're going to do is lightly put a coating on the club face. So as you can see there, a nice light coating on the face. This is going to tell me how good or bad I am, Pierce. I'm a bit worried about this.
There is no hiding at all right now.
So it's going to create the awareness of exactly where you're hitting the golf ball, which is key if you want to improve with this one. And I'd love to see more people do this, Pierce.
Yes.
So all I'm going to do here is just hit a shot, and we're going to see whereabouts am I hitting the golf ball on the face, from heel to toe and low to high. Let's get one going away here. Okay, not a bad drive there. Let's take a look at that.
Oh.
So as you can see, reasonably centred, a little bit off the toe there, so not too bad with that, Pierce. I'd be pretty happy if I can get it there. Now, you're not always going to see it at the centre, unfortunately.
No,
we might start to see some patterns. If you're somebody who tends to strike it towards the heel, you're going to start to see some patterns. It might be heel, it might be toe, it might be even high or low, but now you have the ammunition to actually make some changes. So let's say you're hitting it off the heel, which is a common one amongst golfers.
Just quickly, you would say how many shots hitting this to test this? 10, 15?
Yeah, 10 shots is going to give you a good idea, really. So let's say you are somebody who hits it a little bit more on the heel. We obviously want to improve it, but how can we do that? And we like to use some feedback to almost force you into making that change.
So some soft feedback, like a head cover maybe?
Yep.
It just so happens you have one there.
So position the head cover just to the side of the golf ball like this. Not too close.
There, Andy.
So as tight as you can. So if you are going to strike it off the heel, you'll notice that actually there's a good chance you're going to hit the head cover, and really push it in tight if you're struggling with this. Okay. So if I can really now start to think, well, if I can make a golf swing and move the sweet spot of the club now a little bit closer to me, it's going to give me more chance of finding the middle or even the toe. And the toe isn't bad if you're doing this drill.
Well, let's see if you can actually hit one a little bit out of the toe here by doing that drill.
So I need to just, my task here is just miss the cover. Let's see if I can get one a little bit more towards the toe.
So if you're somebody who is hitting that ball out the heel, that would be heaven.
That was a little more than I wanted there, Pierce, but if we take a look at this, that is miles out the toe, so I've gone a little bit too far there.
If you're someone who's always in this heel area here, so if you're in this bit here all the time, you're going to take that toe.
Exactly. So the awareness there is really important. But as you've seen, that's forced me to make a change. And if we make a change, then we're on the road to getting better results, which is the key.
So, OK, third, final drill. When we're making swing changes, Andy, it's quite hard, isn't it? If we're thinking about all these movements and we're trying to centre our knees or whatever, how can we go through this change well?
OK, so the important thing for this, we always say, go slow so you can, not fast so you can't. So if we're learning a new movement, it's so much easier to break down if we do it slow. So let's take the centered knees, for instance. If I go to the top of the golf swing, this happens so fast, it's hard. So what we're actually going to do is get you to hit some 100-yard drives. Yes, 100-yard drives. So swing to the top. I'm going to feel what I want, and I'm really going to hit some soft shots here so I've got the awareness to the move. If I create the awareness to the move, I can actually perform the move better, and then I can start to increase the speed as I get better at the movement.
But so to start with, when you're doing something like centered knees for the first time, you're going to hit this, what, 100 yards, 150
100 yards
yards?
maximum, yeah, not much power in this at all.
I love this.
Just going to be aware of the feeling, so.
This is a drill that Sir Nick Faldo used to do as well, to get some rhythm, good sequence, but also work at changes in the golf swing. Love that. So simple.
Very simple. Less about the shot, more about the focus on the motion piece. That's the important thing.
So there you have it. Some very simple yet powerful drills, but it's up to you to get out there today to help improve your game.